I am delighted to introduce Ananya Singh, who is currently a master's degree candidate in development and labor studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi, India. Ananya is an economist in the making who is active in USAID's Youth Power 2 learning and evaluation community. She is also the founder of Project SIS, which aims to develop a digital defense lab for young children, especially girls, in order to enable them to deftly explore and harness the untapped opportunities in the digital economy while keeping a safe distance from digital threats. Such important work. In 2021, Ananya was recognized with the Diana Award for her humanitarianism and social action. And with that, I'd love to turn this over to you for your reflections, Ananya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's sessions. I'm sure you found all of these sessions to be interesting, insightful, and very, very impactful, as I did. Well, I belong to the class of 2020, and 2020 was the Chinese Year of Rat, which traditionally marks a year brimming with wealth and surplus. But what I and billions of others got instead were disease, distress, and deaths. Fresh graduates like me couldn't find employment anywhere because businesses were either downsizing or shutting down altogether. While we can't blame the employers for not recruiting during a depression, we also can't afford to ignore the vulnerable position of entry-level job seekers. No doubt that the pandemic made it abnormally difficult to find a job in the first place. But the category that's been bearing the brunt of jobs are hard to come by since a couple of years now is that of the youth. I'm a master's degree student of development and labor studies, and this is what I have come to understand. We have fallen into the habit of comfortably blaming labor for not being able to land a job. We accuse them of not being educated enough, of not being skilled enough, of not being persistent enough, or even worse, of not being patient enough. But is it always the labor which is at fault for not having a job? What distances one from employability may not be a creation of his own, but rather the cruel interplay of the market process. For example, 48% of the engineering graduates in India are unemployed. Now, being hopeful that an additional degree would grant them an edge in next year's hiring market and a potential salary boost, many of these people apply to graduate programs, especially MBA programs. Interestingly, 45% of the management graduates in India are also unemployed. This means that students are more likely to take on more and more loans only to re-enter a highly compromised labor market. And this is not just the case in India. Today, while attending the session on improving employability of university graduates in Morocco, one thing that caught my attention was how horizontal mismatch in terms of lack of soft skills and language proficiency have proven to be significantly challenging for the graduate students' employability in Morocco. In fact, the problem was so dire to the extent that the unemployment rate for people with a higher education diploma was more than the unemployment rate of those without a higher education diploma. So most probably, it's not the labor which is to be blamed here. There's a clear disconnect between what is taught in our classrooms and what is needed in the labor market. And this gap must be bridged. Otherwise, higher education will become redundant in the face of repeated blows to employability. Hence, we must focus not just on enhancing the employability of labor via skill development, but also focus on administering training on industry-relevant, flexible, up-to-date skills to the future labor force, which is in our classrooms right now. One of the actions hence taken in Morocco was to correct the such situation with increased emphasis on creating a renewed university structure that readily used digital resources and involved potential recruiters to equip students with relevant soft skills attuned to regional, national, and international job market needs. Hence, university industry linkages, UILs, will have a key role to play in the future employability of our labor force. Such a synergy shall act as a mediator and modulator of skill development, helping strengthening of R&D and promotion of entrepreneurship. Companies should reach out to colleges to figure out what their current candidates are learning and then help align the curriculum to their entry-level hiring needs. This way, entry-level candidates will have the skills that employers demand. Given that the USAID higher education programming prioritizes providing quality and relevant education and training, it will be of prime importance to ensure that each word that is uttered in a classroom makes sense in the industry that is a mile away from it. Hence, the USAID could begin by promoting and facilitating the university industry linkages through its higher education programming so as to ensure that no pupil in our classroom today ends up in the list of people without jobs tomorrow. Thank you.